Upon assuming the throne of England in 1413, Henry V set his sights on taking the French crown. Stating that he was the rightful heir to France due to his descent from Isabella of France, a claim that was pretty much baseless, he sought to expand England's influence on the continent. Now, at the time, France was in a state of chaos due to the debilitations of King Charles VI, who was probably suffering from a severe case of schizophrenia, and the bitter infighting between the Dukes of Orleans and Burgundy. And Henry was one of medieval England's most capable monarchs. He was able to raise the funds to support an army to invade France, and unlike most medieval troops, which consisted more of a chaotic rabble living off the land and united only by their ties to a specific feudal lord, Henry's army was 10,000 men strong, and it differed in that they were well-trained and supplied. Further, the king paid attention to the logistical and transportation aspects of the campaign, and he successfully shuttled his forces across the Channel, landing in Calais in August of 1415. Now, moving inland, Henry's army fell upon the city of Harfleur. However, the city put up more resistance than he expected, and it cost the king nearly a month. Now, sieges at this time were very costly to both sides, and by the time the city fell, Henry lost nearly 4,000 men to wounds, disease, and the garrison duties of the captured city. Worse, the delay had allowed the French to assemble a large army, which now stood between the king and Paris. Henry decided to turn his troops back to Calais, but he was dogged by the French forces. And on October 25th of 1415, the two armies finally clashed near the town of Agincourt. Now, by this time, Henry's forces were fairly small. He had about 1,000 men-at-arms and 5,000 archers. Now, across the field were 25,000 French troops, 1,000 of which were mounted knights. The battlefield was hemmed in on either side by woods, approximately a kilometer apart, and rain had fallen the night before the battle and the ground was soft. Now, in the confined battlefield, France's numeric advantage would work against them. Some of their knights were forced to dismount and form dense lines, with cavalry forming a third line and guarding the flanks, and the sparse French archers were placed between the first and second line. The French hoped that the restricted terrain would control some of the flanking fire from English bowmen, which had hampered them in the past. Henry divided his troops into 3 divisions, with archers situated between each division and on both flanks. And to hamper the mounted knights, the English placed wooden stakes in the ground in front of the longbowmen. Now, with the opening of the battle, the French, mostly in armor, began the long, slow slog across the field. Seeing this, the English bowmen began to use high arcing fire and low trajectory fire against the French, who were unable to use their shields to defend themselves from the arrows coming from 2 different directions. And the French cavalry, which trod the wet ground into mud, balked at the arrow fire and began to rout back. Now, this disordered the line behind them, and during this time, volleys of arrows continued to land with pretty deadly precision. When the arrows finally ran out, the English men-at-arms and archers charged forward, finishing off the remnants of the French front line. And prisoners were taken until Henry heard the rumor that another force of French units was preparing to attack them from the English rear. He then made the order to show no quarter to the captured prisoners, as he felt that he would have to fight a second battle. Now, shortly thereafter, the French third line, which had stood in reserve until this time, decided to charge. And their charge, however, was blunted by the bodies of men and horses, disordered French troops, and the muddy quagmire of the battlefield. And the English men-at-arms were able to quickly dispatch the last of the French army. French losses were extremely heavy, with 10,000 dead and 1,000 captured, and the English lost about 600 men. Henry was able to make his march back to Calais unmolested and sail for England, where he was lauded as one of the country's greatest heroes. Now, the Battle of Agincourt was published in 1978. It was designed by Mark W. Miller, and it was published by Game Designers Workshop. It was part of their GDW 120 series. Now, the English player sets up first by placing 1 archer in each stake hex, those are the triangular ones, and 1 men-at-arms counter in each troop hex, those are the square ones, on the English side of the map. The leader and retinue and king and retinue counters may be placed in any clear hex behind the front line of English troops. And the single remaining English archer can be placed in any clear hex behind the front line within 3 hexes of Henry. The French player then places 1 man-at-arms, archer, regicide, or leader and retinue counter in each French troop hex, and some troop hexes may be left empty. French cavalry can be placed in any clear hex north of the first rank of French troops. And the turn sequence is pretty simple. It's basically the English player going first, followed by the French player. And the game lasts a total of 8 turns for each side. Each turn is divided into phases. Movement phase, which each player can move any of their units that are capable. There's a missile combat phase, and the player can make any missile attacks that they desire. There's melee combat, and that's the hand-to-hand attacks against adjacent enemy units. And then that's followed finally by a rally, and if any units lose morale, which becomes important in this game, the player can attempt to rally those units so that they're no longer running away from the battle. In general, no more than one counter can be placed in a single hex at any one time, and units cannot move through a hex which contains other units, be it friendly or enemy. Now, the one exception to this is the French regicide counter, which can stack with other French units. Now, like a lot of the games of this time, it has facing rules without zone of control rules, which make things a little wonky. All units in the game have a front, flank, and rear facing, and the top of each counter determines the facing. Now, for all units but cavalry, the hex in front of the counter and the two adjacent hex sides form the front of the unit. Now, for cavalry, it's a little different. Only the top and right adjacent hexes form the front of the unit. This is because the way the cavalry would have their lances arrayed. And the hex side facing the bottom of the counter, that's the side opposite the top, is the unit's rear. And then all the other hex sides are the cavalry unit's flanks. And units can only attack through their front hexes, but they can be attacked from any adjacent hex. Now, routed units lose all facing, and they defend at 1/2 strength regardless of the direction of the attack. And having no facing, they're not subject to rear attacks. Now, once these units rally, then they go back to having facing. Now, with missile units, remember that arrow fire can also be made only through the archer's front hex sides. When units are attacked, they often have to make a morale check. And if an English unit is attacked and it has an English unit behind it, then it does not have to make this morale check. Now, each cavalry unit has 4 movement points. Each archer has 3 movement points, and all other units, that's the regicides, the men-at-arms, the king and their retinue, or the leaders in their retinue, only have 2 movement points. And units can only move into their front hexes up to the number of hexes equivalent to their movement points. Now, when moving, a unit always has to retain the same facing. It can't change its facing upon entering a new hex. The only way a unit can change facing is to not move that turn. They can actually sit and move in a counterclockwise or clockwise direction to face any hex side, but they just can't move. Now, a cavalry unit can always move into its left forward flank hex. In effect, that gains the otherwise lost front hex for the purposes of movement. Terrain's pretty simple. There's woods and there's clear. And no unit can enter a hex that contains forest over the entire hex. Only archers can enter hexes which have some forest pattern in them, and all other units have to be in or move entirely through clear hexes. Now, cavalry units can charge, and if a cavalry unit moves in a straight line for 3 hexes and it ends its movement adjacent to an enemy unit, it's charged and it receives the charge bonus in melee phase. They receive a die roll modification of -2 on the combat results table. So there's 2 types of combat in this game, missile and melee. Missile combat involves the firing of arrows at enemy units up to several hexes away. Melee combat involves fighting adjacent enemy units in hand-to-hand fighting. However, in this game you resolve both types of combat the same way, and you use the same combat factors. Thus, an archer's attack factor may be used in either missile or melee attacks. However, remember that an archer can't fight a missile attack and a melee attack in the same turn. Now, in missile combat phase, the archers fire at enemy units, and such targets must be in the archer's front, they must be within range, and they must be in a line of sight. Now, all archer attacks have to be resolved independently. In other words, several archers can't gang up and fire on a single enemy. You have to resolve each archer attack separately. Now, if an archer fires against the rear of an enemy unit, then the die roll modification is -4 on the combat results table. Concerning range, archers can't fire on adjacent units. They have to involve themselves in melee combat to attack an adjacent unit. And English archers can fire against an enemy unit that's 6 or fewer hexes distance, while French archers can fire against an enemy unit that's 3 or fewer hexes distant. Line of sight rules are pretty simple. Only enemies within a line of sight can be attacked, and it has to be a straight line which connects the center of the firing unit's hex to the center of the target unit's hex. It has to be unobstructed by the presence of other units on either side, or by a full forest hex. Now, melee combat occurs after missile attacks. And it occurs when you're attacking enemy units that are in an adjacent hex and you're attacking through the front of your hex. Now, what makes this game kind of fun is that once you attack a unit, if it's not routed or destroyed, then that enemy unit can counterattack you with 1 attack. Now, if you're attacking an enemy unit through their rear hex, then your attack receives a die roll modification of -4 on the combat results table. However, flank attacks have no effect in this game. Now, unlike archers, more than one unit can participate in a melee attack on an enemy unit, and the attackers have to sum up their attack factors and make that one attack, which is resolved through a single die roll. Now, unlike archers, you don't make those little single attacks. Basically, in melee, a bunch of melee units sum their total attack factors together and make that one attack against a single unit. Odds creation in this game is pretty straightforward. The attack factor of the attacking unit or units is compared in ratio form to the defense factor of the defending units, and then this ratio is rounded in favor of the defender. You then consult the combat results table, 2 dice are rolled, and the numerical result is noted. Now, if a die roll modification is called for, then you apply it at this time. There are 3 possible combat results on the combat result table: no effect, and obviously no result is taken at this time. A morale check, that means the defending unit has to undergo a morale check, and then elimination of the unit, where the defending unit is removed from play. If the hex is vacated by combat, then an attacking unit can move into that vacated hex. Each unit has a morale factor, and if a morale check is called for, then you have to roll or exceed it on 2 dice in order to prevent the unit from routing. And when a unit fails a morale check, it's routed, and the counter's inverted to indicate the status, and their routed unit must immediately move its full movement factor towards the edge of the map. And if this movement is prevented by any other unit, then the routed unit stops its movement, so it's not eliminated like a lot of games, it actually just has to stop. Now, routing units can't attack, and they're halved in their defense strength when they are attacked. Now, if a routed unit receives a second morale check in combat and fails it, then it's eliminated. If it passes, it remains routed, but it's not required to move towards the edge of the map in this phase. Now, and also remember that an English unit, which is required to make a morale check, but has a friendly unit in its rear hex, can ignore that morale check. Now, in a player's rally phase, each of that player's routed units can make another morale check. And if the unit's morale factor is rolled or exceeded on 2 dice, the unit is rallied and it's again placed face up. It can then be used normally. And if the morale check has failed, the unit remains routed and it moves its full movement factor towards its edge of the map. Now, if a unit exits the map due to a rout, it's removed from play and it's considered to be eliminated. Well, we've talked a little bit about terrain, but I want to make a couple of notes here. On partial forest hexes, only archers can enter those hexes, and they expend 1 movement point to do so. Now, if they're in a partial forest hex, they're doubled in defense against missile fire, but not melee combat. And non-archer units cannot move into these partial forest hexes. Also, stake hexes. Now, stake hexes are treated as clear terrain when there's no units present in them. But when archer units are present, then the archers are doubled in defense in melee combat. They are not, however, doubled in defense against missile fire. Couple notes about the special units in this game. Each side has leader counters, which affect both combat and morale. And all units adjacent to a friendly leader or king counter are allowed 2 die roll modifications. The first is they receive a die roll modification of -1 when they're attacking. And all routed units receive a die roll modification of +1 on morale checks required as a result of combat or rally attempts. Now, if a leader counter is eliminated, not simply routed, or it's left the map, then all units of that side are subject to a -1 die roll modification on all future morale checks. And if 2 leaders are eliminated or left the map, then it's a -2 modification. Finally, if 3 leaders are eliminated or left the map, then it's a -3 die roll modification on all morale checks. If Henry V is eliminated, or he's left the map, he counts as a leader eliminated, and no English forces can make any further morale checks in the rally phase. Now, the regicide unit represents a band of French knights who vowed to seek out Henry V or die trying. And they can move through hexes that contain friendly or enemy units without stopping. However, they cannot end their movement in hexes with other units. And the regicide counter may ignore all morale checks. The English win when 35 French units have been eliminated, and the French win when 25 English units have been eliminated. Now, if at the end of that turn neither player has yet won, then victory is determined on the following basis. The French player receives 1 point for each English unit eliminated, and 1 point for each French unit on or past hex row XX19. And if the total is 25 or greater, then the French player's won. If the total is 25 or less, the English player wins. And routed units still on the map don't count as eliminated units. Now, this game is pretty much a turkey shoot for the English. I've played this game numerous times, and the only time I've ever seen the French win was when I played the English and didn't know what I was doing the first time I played it, and the English lost by only a very small amount. Now, one thing you can do that can change this up a little bit is to change the archery rules. And what you can do is that you can say that if arrows are fired at a target, then the accuracy and effectiveness decrease with the distance to the target. The way you can implement this is add modifiers to the archery based on the target's distance. Now, remember the rules that archers can't fire on adjacent targets, so you have to start at the 2 hex range. And at 2 hexes, you add 1 to your die roll. So in other words, you add a +3 modifier if a target is 2 hexes away. If it's 3 hexes away, you would add a +4. 4 hexes, you would add a +5. And finally, at the 6 hex range, which is the maximum that the English can fire at, you would add a total of +5. So the easiest way to remember this is count the number of hexes that the target is away and subtract 1. And then you'll add that modifier to your die roll. So in other words, if something is 3 hexes away, you would subtract 1 and get a +2 to your modifier. And also if, say, the English were firing at their maximum range, which is 6 hexes, you'd take 6 minus 1 and add 5 to your die roll as a modifier. Okay, I've got the Battle of Agincourt set up here. And a couple things, I just want to reinforce that I'm going to let units be able to shift their movements if they're going through a front hex. So, in other words, this one could go like this if they wanted to. The other thing is I'm playing with the optional rules, which I kind of related earlier. They definitely even up the playing field quite a bit. I don't know, with the cavalry units, I think I'll let them charge. If they can go more than 1 hex, then I'm going to let them charge, because again, it kind of ends up in a kind of wonky situation. I did make this little I think I used my spreadsheet program to make just a little combat results table here, just because it's a little easier for me to read with the dark lines in between. But I'll be going a little bit slow with that. For some reason, it takes me a while to do. There's a lot of combat rolling in this. This is a dice-heavy game. Let me move some stuff around here on my desk. Move my microphone here. Okay, let's get started here. So the English get to go first, and we'll start with English turn 1. They're going to stay put. Now, they can do some firing here, so they can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's within range. And since that's within range, let's see, that's going to be 5 minus 1, so that's a +4 modifier. So we rolled 2d6, and we get a 5, and a 4 is a 9. Oh, and it's 9 to 4, so it's 2 to 1 odds. And let's move this over. 9. So that's not going to be effective. One thing I wish that this Vassal module had was you could mark moved or mark fired for the playing pieces. So what I have to do is end up shifting them. Like I'll shift him here, and then I'll shift him there to show he moved. So that's what I'm doing when you see me doing that. 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're again at 2 to 1 odds, +4, and that's a 10, so that's nothing. Okay, here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 to 1 odds, and 8 and 4, nothing. And then this guy's, I think he's more than 6 away. Yeah, move my mic over. It's in the way now. We'll say he moves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't do anything there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can here, so we roll a 10. Nothing. And this is a low roll type of game for the most part. Not always consistent. There's some design flaws in this. You could clear them up pretty easily, though. Overall, it's not a bad game. It's definitely shows its age. I would compare it kind of to Avalon Hill's Alexander the Great. That intentions are good, but it's still there's a few flaws that later games, not even a couple years games made a couple years later fixed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so here we got 9 to 4, and that's 2 to 1 odds. 11. So my gosh, 4, 5, 6. Nothing there. Okay, keep moving down the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nothing here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 2 to 1 odds. 6. So 6 and 4 is a 10. Okay, nothing. 2 to 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Actually, that should be +5, not +4. 2 to 1 plus 5 is not going to do anything. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a +4. 2 to 1 plus 4, nothing. Okay, that's it for the English turn. I didn't move anybody. I guess I could have gone ahead and moved. Let's just assume we're going to move him here. And we'll move him to 3. We'll move him 1 and 1. And we'll move 1, 2, 3. Okay, got a cat in my lap. I'll be playing this for the rest of the game with the cat in my lap. Okay, that should be it. I was a little out of turn there, but that's okay. Okay, now the French get to do their slog. Nothing will happen during this turn. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You get to see me do this for... Okay. And 2. As they slog across the battle. 2, 2, 2. Now he can go 1, 2, 3. But the French only have a range of 3 with the bows. 2, 3. So they can't do anything. 2, 3. Oops, 2. 2. Oh, here he's going to be able to fire. So I got 1 that I know that can fire. And whoops, he's went too far. 2, 2, 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 1, 2, 3. Cat likes the warm place, which is usually my lap when I'm trying to work on videos. But and if you go to my Board Game Geek account, that's what's on my avatar there. Oh, okay, hold on a second. What we're going to do now, again, I'm going to say you can shift. I'm going to let these guys shift. So that means that these guys can move 1, 2, 3, 4. I want those cavalry to get in. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know, just the idea of making these straight lines is kind of crazy. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. And again, I think the French should at least be able to get cavalry charge in. And now we'll just move everybody forward. And this kind of ends up being a problem because you're kind of funneled in here, which you can see. It does a pretty good job of simulating the battle, I think, for the most part. Oh, now the cat's going to go sleep behind my computer where it's nice and warm. He's old and his bones are getting cold. Okay, so we just had 1 attack, and that was this this guy right here. And he has 1, 2, 3, so 2. And he's got a 3 to 2, so he's got 1.5 to 1 odds, plus 1. He rolls a 4. Oh, okay. And that's a send a dead pile. Okay. And that is the end of turn 1. Pretty easy turn. Okay, we'll get rid of that. Now then, movements. I don't really want, I really want the French to come to me. So now one time I played this and I just backed everybody off. And if you're playing just the rules as written, that's the way to do it, is just keep backing off, and you can pretty much kite the French back until they're gone. So 1. Okay, he's going to move. 1, 2. I'm gonna. Now these guys. If you have somebody behind you and you're the English, you get that morale bonus. So I want to do that to Henry. 1, 2. Up Yeah, we'll move him here. And we'll move him here and here. That'll at least try to keep the some of the archers in place. Oh, what's that guy doing down here? Oh, yeah, he's my eliminated guy. I'll stick him here. I usually use this little area. The woods are where you can keep your units that have been destroyed. So, okay, that's it for the turn. Now we just got to do some archery. So we'll start up here, and this archer goes, and he's got a 9-4, so he's got 2-to-1 odds. 1, 2, 3. So 2-to-1 plus 2 is a 5. Okay. 2-to-1, 5. Okay. That's going to eliminate this unit. And then this guy goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's got 2-to-1 plus 3. He gets a 12. Nothing. 2-to-1 plus 3 with a 4 is a 7. Okay. A 7 counts as a, let's see, this guy went. And then the 7 counts as a morale check. So, come back here. So we make a morale check, and if he gets above a 7, he makes it. If he gets below a 7, he doesn't. He doesn't, so he's routed. Now, he can't move backwards anywhere, so he's going to have to stay put. 2, 3, 4, 5, so plus 4. So we've got 2-to-1 plus 4. That's a 7. 2-to-1 with 7 is another morale check. So this guy makes a morale check, and he gets an 11, so he makes it. Okay. Okay, 4, so plus 3, 9 to 2. So this is 4-to-1 plus 2 is a 10. And that is not a morale check. Actually, that should be an M. So let me fix that. Okay, M. There we go. So he does make a morale check. Where was I? Right here. And we need to roll an 8 or better. 9. Okay, he makes it. And then this guy gets to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So plus 3. It's 4-to-1 plus 3. 9, 10, 11, 12. So nothing. Okay. So this is a plus 3. Again, 4-to-1. And 4-to-1 plus 3 is a 7. 11? Nope. Okay. We've got a 9. We got a 2-to-1. 4. Okay. 2-to-1 plus 3. 8, 9, 10, 11. Nothing. Okay. And here we've got a 9-to-1. So that's 4-to-1 plus 3. 11. Okay. Nothing. You'd think he could hit. Okay. I'm going to try to take those cavalry out. So, yeah, let's just try it down here. 1, 2, 3. So 4-to-1 plus 3 is a 6. That's enough to get rid of him. And then I've got a 4-to-1. And that's a 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's enough to make a morale check. And he gets a 3. That's... he's got to do better than an 8. So he is routed. That was with this guy, I think. And then this guy's going to go... I'm going to go ahead and fire at him. And we get a 4-to-1. And it's a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now that's a second morale. That's a second morale check, and that sends him to the dead pool. Okay, and then here we've got a 4-to-1 plus 2, 10, 11, 12. Nothing. Okay, and that is it for the English turn 2. Let's just put these guys over here. We can go ahead and... So they've now lost 3 units. And now we're ready to go with the French. The slog continues. Now, I've got to either let him go or back him up. I'm going to let him back up. I'm going to just let him back up because by keeping him in place, well, I can move these guys forward. So basically, I'm keeping this guy from moving backwards any. Okay. And hopefully he'll make his check here pretty quick. Okay. I'll move these into position. Now, these archers will get destroyed, but we're going to let them go. I want them to be one away, so basically I want them one away so that they don't get this attack back. Because the attack back can hit you pretty hard. But like I say, the archers will get wiped out. But that's okay. I'd rather have them in battle. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just going to say if they're in range, they get attacked. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to move up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now he's adjacent, so he's good. And then 2, 2, 2. Whoops, 2, 2, and 2. We want to get within range as fast as we can. 2, 1, 2. Okay. And I'm going to just put these guys on them just to show that they've charged. I don't know. I think they could get up to charging speed within 100 yards, I would think, or 200 yards. I wouldn't think you'd need 300-400 yards to charge. And again, I'm letting these guys move. As long as they're moving through these front hexes, those 3 front hexes, I'm saying they're cool. I don't know. I think that the rule for the frontage of the cavalry units is a little persnickety. I don't think it adds a whole lot to the game. You feel like your cavalry units can only turn right. It's kind of like a NASCAR race, except everybody turns left there. Okay, that's it. Now then, first of all, we're going to take our archery, and we get a 3 to 4. It's a 1 to 2 odds. Actually, let's go for the archers. Okay, he can do that. So 3 to 2, 1.5 to 2, and he's at 1.5 to 2, and he's going 1, 2, 3, so he gets a +2. 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8, nothing. Okay. Now he's got a +2. 1.5 to 2 plus. Wait, that's a 2 plus 1. I'm sorry. 7, 8. Okay, 1.5, nothing. Okay. +1 here. I'm going to shoot at this guy. At 10, nothing. Okay, this guy goes. 3 to 2, 1.5 plus 2, 10. Nope. Man, they're not doing well. Okay, this guy's going to go. Now 1.5 to an 8, nothing. Okay, somebody's going to do it. Okay, these guys are going to, this guy's going to fire. He's going to fire down here at this guy. And he gets a 9. Okay, this guy fires. 5. Okay, there we go. We've got a 5. So that's a morale check. However, this guy's got a guy. This is a British unit or an English unit with a guy behind him, so he doesn't have to make the morale check. Okay, we're going to fire again. We get a 9. Honestly, I think those, really these archers can't really do anything. Okay. Now we can go with our charges. So we're going to take care of our charge here. And we get an 8 to 2, 4 to 1, and we subtract 2. So we get an 8, 7, 6. Anything less than a 7 would do the trick. So he is now sent to the dead pool. And, oh, hold on a second. he had spikes with him, or he had his stakes. Okay. Let's re-roll it. Okay, so it's an 8 to 4, so it's 2 to 1. Minus 2. Actually, we got a 6, so 2 to 1 minus 2 is a 6. It's a morale check, but again, he's got a guy behind him, so he's good. Okay, this guy goes, and he's got a... It doesn't matter, because archers are the only ones that can get the offensive bonus for stakes. So 2 to 1. 4 minus 2 is 2, so he eliminates this guy. So we'll send him to the dead pool. This guy is up against a guy on stakes, so it's an 8 to 4, 2 to 1 odds. We roll a 6 minus 2 at 2 to 1 is a 4. That is a D. Okay, so he's sent to the dead pool. Here we've got an 8 to 4, 2 to 1 odds with a 9. That's 7. That is a morale check, but again, he's got a guy behind him. And finally, 2 to 1 odds. We roll a 5, 4, 3, and that's a delete. So he's sent to the dead pool. And that is the end of turn up. We forgot the French turn marker. Oh, and then we got to check for our routes. So this guy here has to roll a 7 or above. He rolls a 4, so he's still routed. I think that's it. Let's move our English guys down here. And so the score is 4 to 3. So the French are actually winning this one. And they can with these rules. Okay. Okay, we can go to turn 3. So the English can go first. Let's look at moves. Do I want to move anybody around? This guy can move over. I want to use the maximum number of units to back people up. I am going to try to get rid of these guys. 2. And we will move him here. We'll move him here. Like I said, I want to get rid of those cavalry units. They're pretty easy to pick off, and they're easy points. The other easy points are these... oh gosh, what am I trying to say? The archers, the French archers. I think we can... Yeah. Now they can fight back. Oh, and I forgot to get these guys fighting back last round. Okay, well, we'll get that this next round. So we will consider that. Okay, let's see. Let's start with my archers. And we've got a 9 to 3. We've got 3 to 1 odds here, plus 2. So we got a 10, 12. That's not going to do anything. Okay, here we've got our 3 to 1. Plus 2. No, plus 1. Okay, plus 1. 3 to 1, 8, 9. 3 to 1 with a 9 is a... Okay, that's a... He's got to make a 7, which he does. So he saves. Okay, then I've got 3 to... Or those are 2 to 1. Okay, 2 to 1 plus 2 is a 11. Nothing. Okay, then we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a plus 3. 2 to 1 plus 3 is 9. That's not going to be anything. And then we've got a 9 to 2. So that's 4 to 1 odds plus 1. Okay, 4 to 1 plus 1. 8, 9. Okay, 9 is a morale check. So he makes a morale check and he has to get an 8 or above. Does not. So he is routed. Okay. Here we've got a 9. Okay, another 4 to 1 plus 1. We get a 9. Another morale check here. And a 4. Okay, so he does not make his morale check. So he is routed. 1, 2. Okay, then we've got here a 6, a 3 to 1 odds. straight 3 to 1 with an 11. Okay, that's not going to do anything. That's this guy. Oh, I got to wait until these guys can... Actually, we'll just go on down the line here. Let's see. This was a 3 to 1, and let's roll it again. 8. 3 to 1 with 8. So 8 is that's a morale check, and we roll a 5, so he does not make it, so he is routed. Okay, let's go back on, and we'll come back to this guy. Actually, let's just go ahead and we'll just go ahead and fight him. 3 to 1. He's fighting out of turn, but and a 9, and he's got a -1 for being next to Henry. So that's an 8. 3 to 1 with an 8 is a morale check, and they roll an 8, so they make it. Okay, now let's go on down through these guys. 4 to 1. +1 is a 6, 7. 4 to 1 with a 7. That's a destroyed. Okay, and then this guy gets to go. He's got a 4 to 1 +1. Gets a 6. That's enough to send him to the dead pile. Okay, we've got a 9 to 4, 2 to 1 +1 is a 10. 2 to 1 +10, nothing. Okay, and then this guy is meleeing, so we'll come back to these guys. Let's go ahead and get this guy. He's going to fight. Actually, they're going to fight together to get this guy. This guy's okay. We can go ahead and do our melee. So now we do a 9 to 1, 4 to 1, and it's a 4. So this guy is eliminated. We've got an 8 to 1, so that's a 4 to 1, and another 4, another eliminated, and then 8 to 1 is a 4. This is 4 to 1. Now, also I forgot that this guy, they get a -1 because they're next to a leader. So we have a 7 at 4 to 1, so that's dead pile. Okay, and then these 3 are going to fight. Actually, I'm going to send these 2. So this is 4 to 1. And it's a 5. So that sends him to the dead pile. And then this guy, should have let him go ahead and fire. And I'm going to say he's going to fire down the line here at 4 to 1. And +1. So 4 to 1 +1 is a 5. So that's the dead pool. And then 4 to 1 +1 is a 6, and that's another one. So, and that's it. I think I've got everybody has done their thing. What did I do with this guy? I guess he didn't make morale checks, or he made his morale check. So, oh, I forgot. Since he made his morale check, he can fight back. So we attacked him. He didn't. This failed. So now this guy gets to do a 3 to 4 or 1 to 2 odds. And he gets a 9, so nothing. Okay, didn't make any difference, but I forgot that. Okay, that's it for the English turn. Let's see if there's any units. Oh yeah, we got rid of a lot of guys here. Let's set these guys up. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think that's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. I'm going to keep little lines of 10 here because they've got to get 35. The British have to kill off 35. The English got to do 35. Down here. Okay. Bad turn for the French, but they get to go again. Any rallies? Nope. Okay. Now the French do have the advantage in that they vastly outnumber the English. So, okay. Now the problem is, and again, like in the real battle, these retreating units get in the way. We'll keep him going here. We'll keep him going here. Do a little shifting around. 2, 2, 2. And then, whoop, come back here. We'll move him over here, him here. Come back. 1, 2. They have to move around this guy. Okay, now 2. 1, 2. 2. And these regicide units, I've never been able to get them to really work in this game. Okay, boink. 2, whoops. 2, 1, 2. Up, you really can't go into those. This little wood here provides a lot of problems. Now, I think what the British should probably, or the English should probably do is move back into this and to the woods and take advantage of that terrain a little bit, but that gives them a slight edge. Okay, I think all of the cavalry have been eliminated, and unlike the movies, these were mostly men-at-arms. They weren't cavalry. But okay, we got 2 of these guys to go, and we'll start out with them first. Okay, they got a 3 to 4, 1 to 2 with a 7. Let's see, you need anything below a 5. Okay, so nothing. And then here, 1 to 2 with a 4 is a morale check, but it's not going to do anything because this guy's got backed up. So, and that is it for the French bowmen. Okay, now then. Now they get to have some fun. Is there, okay, there's a stake there. So this is doubled to 4. So we have 1.5 to, we have a 1.5 odds, and we roll and we get a 10. So 1.5 is a 10, so that's not enough. But then this guy gets to fight back, and he gets 3 to 1 with a 4. 3 to 1 with a 4. So that deletes this guy. Okay. We got a stake, so 8 to 4, 2 to 1 odds. We roll a 5 at 2 to 1, which is enough to delete this guy, so there's no fighting back there. Okay, I think 2 to 1, yeah, 2 to 1 with a 9. Okay, nothing, so these guys get to clap back with a, they also have 2 to 1 odds, and they get a 5. 2 to 1 with 5 is a send a dead pile. Now you could advance. I don't think I will. I think we'll just stay tight. Okay. We've got those. We're sitting on those stakes, so that helps us quite a bit. Okay, 2 to 1 odds here. The men-at-arms don't get a bonus for being on a stake hex, so even though I don't think this guy even is. So, okay, we got 2 to 1 odds. We roll a 9. That's nothing. And then a 6 to 2, so 1.5 odds with a 7. Okay, so then this guy has to make a morale check. Needs a 7 or better. Gets it. Okay. This guy goes, and we again have a 8 to 4, 2 to 1 odds with an 8. 2 to 1 with an 8. That's a morale check. Okay. This guy makes a morale check and gets a 6. So he makes it. Okay, but he gets to clap back. So 6 to 4, 1.5 odds with an 8. Nothing. Okay, so both of those guys stay put. And then we can move down here. We have a 6 to 4, 1.5 odds with a 5. That's a morale check. Okay. So this guy makes his morale check. He needs a 5 or better. He gets it, and so he gets to clap back at 2 to 1 odds with an 8. 2 to 1 with an 8 is a morale check now for the French. And they get a 5. So they don't make it. So they're routed. Okay. This guy goes with a 3 to 4. 1 to 2 odds. Oh, we get to add up 3, 9 to 4, 2 to 1 odds. We roll a 10, that's nothing. This guy claps back at 6 to 2, so 3 to 1 odds with an 8. And that's a morale check on that guy. He needs a 8 or better. Gets it? Okay. We'll just put that guy there. Okay, 8 to 2, 4 to 1 odds. 4 to 1, let's go with a 5. So he destroys this guy. And then here we've got 2 to 1 odds. Oh, that was 2 to 1. Oh, well, a 5 with 2 to 1 would have still destroyed that guy. Okay, 8 to 4, 7. 2 to 1 with a 7. It's a morale check. Okay, so this guy has to make a morale check. And he rolls a 6. He does not make it, so he is routed. But he can't go. Oh, no, he doesn't, because he's got a guy on his tail. So nothing happens. Okay. 8 to 4, 2 to 1 odds. With a 10. Nothing. And then finally, okay, 8 to 2, but he's on a stake, so 2 to 1 odds. We get a 7 at 2 to 1. It's a morale check, and this guy is doesn't have anybody behind him, so he rolls a 12, makes it, so he gets to fight back at 2 to 1 with a 4. Ouch! 2 to 1 with a 4 eliminates this French guy. Then 8 to 4, 2 to 1 odds down here. With a 12, nothing. This guy claps back, 2 to 1, with an 8. That's a morale check on the French's part. And they get it. They make it. So, okay. That was a French turn. That was French turn 3. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, and then up for the French. On this turn, they lost 3 units on their advance. Okay, we go to turn 4. English turn 4. Okay, I think we're going to move this guy back 2. We'll stay put. This guy will move forward. We'll move forward here. Forward here. Forward here. Forward here. 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 Okay, everybody's moving into position to fight. We delete our trails, and then we're going to do our archery. So if we start here with a 9 to 3, 3 to 1 odds plus 1. Nothing. Okay, this guy's going to fire. I'm going to fire right here. 9 to 2, 2 to 1 odds plus 1. It's a 4, 2 to 1 with a 4, which is enough to get rid of him. So this guy's going. And then this guy gets to go. And he's going to fire here with a 3 to 1 odds plus 1. 7. 3 to 1 with a 7. Okay, that's this guy has to roll and makes an 8. So he makes his little saving throw. I use the term saving throw. Years and years of Dungeons and Dragons has taught me that. So, okay, 9 to 1. 4 to 1 odds here. This guy's going at 4 to 1 to attack this guy. And he gets a 5. Which is enough to get rid of him. I forgot to roll for these routed guys on the French turn. Let me do that. I'm going to go back and we're gonna re-roll. So let's start up here. Needs a 7 or better. 6. Nope. Okay, this guy needs an 8 or better. 7. Nope. Okay, so that's going to get rid of him because he got hit with a morale check. This guy, 8 or better. With a 12, he makes it, so he's no longer routed. This guy with a 7 or better, 8, no longer routed. This guy here with an 8 or better, 4, nope. Okay, there we go. Now then. And this guy, oh, I forgot him, didn't I? So 12, okay. Okay, let's go back. I'm all over the place here. I hope that most of you guys do this when you're playing games, that you end up going, oh, we forgot that, and then have to either ignore it and go on or go back and fix it. So 9-3, 3-1 odds here. 10, so nothing. Okay, 9-3, 3-1 odds with a 7, and this is a +1, so an 8. 3-1 with an 8 is a morale check. And they need a 7 or better, and they do not get it, so they fail. Okay, here we have 2-1 odds with an 8, and a +1 is a 9 at 2-1, so that's no effect. That guy's here moved. Okay, then this guy's a 2-1 with a 2. Okay, that's enough to get rid of him. And then these guys. 9-4, 2-1 odds, +1 is at 9. Okay, that's enough to save him. He was saved by the distance. 2-1 and 11, so that's nothing. And that's it for the archery. Now we get into the nitty-gritty of the battle. So 2-1 right here with this guy against this French unit. So 2-1 with a 7. It's a morale check. Needs a 7 or better. Does not make it, so he is routed. 1-2. And I just send him back. Okay, this guy has since he's next to a leader, he's going to get a -1. So 6-4 is a 1.5 odds. With 1.5 odds, we get a 9-8. Not enough for anything, okay? But this means there's clapback, which is at 2-1. A 7 at 2-1 is going to be a morale check here. 5 or better needed. Gets it. Okay. We can move to this one. 6-4, 1.5 odds. -1 because of the leader. We roll at 9. That's not going to be enough to do anything, so we get a clapback. 2-1 odds on the clapback. 7. Morale check. So this guy has to take a morale check. Oh, and they get a +1 because of the leader, so they get a 5. Okay, that's enough. Because of that leader, they didn't end up routing. Okay, 8-2, 4-1 odds with a 5. That's enough to get rid of him. And then we have a 9-2, 4-1 odds, -1 because of the leader. 4-3. So that's enough to get rid of this guy. We're getting rid of those French archers. Okay. Okay, the guy's up near Henry. 6-3, 2-1 odds, -1. 6-5, 2-1 with a 5 is a delete. And then we've got 6-2, 3-1, -1 with a 4. That's easily enough to get rid of him. Okay, 9-4, 2-1 odds with a 7. 2-1 with a 7 is a morale check. So this guy makes a morale check right here. He needs a 6 or better. He gets it, so he gets to fight back, and it's going to be 8-5. And he gets an 8. Not enough. Not quite enough. Okay. I think we went with this guy. Okay, 8-4. 2-1 odds. And our 2-1 odds are going to be against this guy. We roll a 8, and it's a 7. 2-1, 7 is a morale check. Needs a 6 or better. Makes it. So he fights back at 2-1. Gets a 4. And a 2-1 at 4 is going to eliminate this guy. And then 8-4, 2-1 here. 4. That's 2-1, 4, I think is enough to send him to the dead pool. 6-4, 1.5 odds. We get 11, nothing. So then fights back at 2-1 with 10. These fightbacks are kind of brutal. I kind of think they're kind of cool, but Oh, we should have fought these two together here. Oh well, we'll do them separate here. 2-1 again. We'll just make him another 2-1, nothing. And then he gets to fight back. I'll just say he fights back at 8 to, let's see, 1.5 odds, and at 8 at 1.5, nothing. So, and finally down here we have an 8 to 4, 2-1 odds. We get a 10, which is nothing. Okay, that is the end of the English turn. How bad of damage did they do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. French took a pretty moderate amount of damage. They only have about 12 more they can lose. Okay, we go to our next French turn 4. Move into, move into. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. And again, there's no zones of control, so you got to get as many guys up there as possible. And hopefully we can just yank those guys down. The English, if I'm playing the French player. Now the French really have a heavy, I've noticed they really have a heavy right flank here. Not sure what's up with that, but we'll just... Okay, this guy can move back 2. He can move back 3. Can't move, can't move, can't move. Okay. French get to go. Haven't had a lot of rallies this phase, so okay. There's not going to be any French archery at this point. Everybody's pretty much in melee combat, so I've got a 6 to 3. I got 3 to 1 odds, and I roll a 10, so nothing here. This comes back with a 3 to 1 odds with a 6. And 3 to 1 with a 6 is a morale check. The French have to make a morale check at 7. They make it. Okay, I've got a 6 to 4, 1.5 odds with a 2. That's enough to get rid of this guy. Okay, 3 to 1 odds. Hold on a second. Oh, this was a, yeah. So this was a stake. It was a stake hex, but it's not a archery unit. It's a men-at-arms. So they're gone. Okay, 6 to, and that should be 4. Yeah, 6 to 4, 1.5 odds. We get a 6 at 1.5. That's a morale check, and they get a 5. So they fail their morale check, and they route back 3. And I will move into that hex. I will go ahead and move into that hex. Okay. 6 to 2, 3 to 1 odds. It's going to be 1.5. So 9. 9 at 1.5. Nothing. They clap back 9 to 3, 3 to 1 odds with a 6. And oh, that's a send to dead pile. Okay. 8 to 4, 2 to 1 odds with an 11, so that's nothing, but they get a fight back with a 6 to 4, 1.5 odds with a 10, nothing. I'll keep moving these little guys. Okay. 8 to 6, 1.5 odds, 5. That's a morale check, and they need a 5 or better. They get it. They fight back at a 1.5 odds with an 8. Morale check on the French side. They need a 7 or better, and they do not make it, so they rout. Okay, this guy gets to go at a 6 to 4, 1.5 odds, but he's got a leader next to him, so he gets a plus or a -1. So 10 minus 1 is 9. Not going to do anything. Now we've got an 8 to 3, so we got 2 to 1 odds fighting back with a 6. And that's a morale check. Okay. The guy fighting back gets to make his morale check and gets an 8. Now, This would normally be a 7, but since, again, he's next to a leader, that ups it to an 8. So, yeah, he made the morale check. Okay, we go to the next guy. 6-2, 3-1 odds, right here. 3-1 with an 8. 3-1 with an 8 is a morale check. And, oh, wait, hold on. 6-4, 1.5, so it's still a morale check. I had to knock that down a column. Okay, 1.5 to 4, It's a morale check. They need a 6 or better, and they make it. Okay, they get to fight back at a 9-3, 3-1, with a 5. Ouch! Send a dead pile. Okay. Then these 2 units get to go, and since they're adjacent to a leader, they get a -1, so it's a 6, 12 to 5. 2-1 odds, with a 7 is a morale check. This guy takes a morale check. And it's 9-6. I guess 1.5 odds. We'll fight them both together. 7. Okay. They get to make morale checks. I'll say they do it together. They make it. So they get to clap back. Or no. Yeah, he clapped back. Okay, gotcha. Okay. This guy's going to go against this leader. 1-1 odds. He rolls a 7. And nothing. Okay, the leader goes 9-3, 3-1 odds with a 2. Okay, that's enough to get him to the dead pile. Okay. 8 and 6 is 14-4. 3-1 odds. 3-1 with an 8 is a morale check on this guy's part. Needs a 5 or better, gets a 5. So he makes it, and he gets to fight back against, we'll say 6-8. So 1-2 odds with a 9. Nothing. Okay. Move these guys here just to show they've moved. Okay, then we've got a 6-4, 1.5 odds. And 5. Morale check. Okay. 5 makes it. Okay, then he can fight back at 2-1 odds with a 9. Nothing. Okay, 8-2, 4-1, or actually, is that? Nope, there's nothing there. That's not a stake hex, so 4-1 odds. That's 11, so nothing. So then the 9-4, 2-1 fight back at 9. Nothing. Okay. Then this guy gets to go 4-1 odds with a 6. Okay, did I go? Yeah, 4-1 with a 6. That eliminates him. Oh, 4-1 with a 6. That should be 2-1 with a 6. So it's a morale check. Oh, no morale check because he's in front of that guy. So nothing. He just gets to fight back. So 2-1 backwards with a 4. 2-1 with a 4. Well, that was advantageous. Okay, then 8-5 is 1.5 odds. 10. Nothing. Okay. And then 9-4, 2-1 back, 7. 2-1 with a 7 is a morale check. Back to this guy and the French guy. And he gets a 9 and makes it. Okay, 8-4. 4-1 odds with a 6. That's enough to eliminate him. Oops, I did it again. Let's see. 4-1, 2-1 with a 6 is a morale check. Okay, he makes a 6 or better. Makes it. Okay, he fights back at 2-1 with a 4. See if that's where those stakes really helped him. I raised the stakes. Get it? Okay. Oh, but he got a morale check of +1. Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay. 8-6. 1-1 odds with a 12. Nothing. Okay. And then this 9-4 comes back with a 2-1 odds with a 5. 2-1 with a 5 destroys him. The French are just pretty much unbraiding themselves. Okay, we got 16-4. 4-1 odds. 4. Okay. So a 4 is going to destroy this guy at 2-to-1 odds. Send him to the dead pool. Okay, here we've got this guy going against this guy at an 8-to-4, 2-to-1 odds. And we roll a 8 at 2-to-1. That's a... we're going to see if this guy makes a morale check. He gets a 4, so he does not, so he's routed. Okay, 8-to-5. That's the 1.5 odds with an 11, so nothing. Now this guy will fight back. 9-to-4, 2-to-1 odds with an 11, so that's nothing there. Okay, 8-to-2, 4-to-1 odds with a 9. 4-to-1 with a 9 is a, that's a morale check with an 8. So he makes his morale check, so he gets to fight back at 2-to-1. And he gets a 7 at 2-to-1. That's a morale check for this guy. And he needs a 7 or better. Does not get it, so he is routed. And then we've got a 8-to-2, 4-to-1 odds with a 7. That destroys this guy. And then here we've got an 2-to-1. Okay. He's actually still back there because he was sitting on top of stakes again. So it's a morale check. 6 or better. Makes it. So he gets to fight back at 9-to-4, 2-to-1 odds. Gets a 7 at 2-to-1. So this guy gets to make a morale check. And makes it. Okay. Then, final guy down here. This guy here, 8-to-4, 2-to-1 odds. 10. Nothing. Okay. He gets to fight back at 2-to-1. With a 6, morale check here, and a 9. So he makes his morale check. And that is it for the French turn. That's the end of turn 4. Let's see what we got here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. Okay. And the French up here, let's just spread these guys out a little bit. Okay, so the French can lose 6 more units before they lose. The English have 9. They've got 16 more units, so the English might make it on this. Okay, the French get to make their check to see if of their routed units can make it back into play. So we'll start here with a 7, so he makes it. Unrouted. Okay, here with the 7, makes it. Down here with an 8, does not make it, so he... Here with a 7, makes it. And anybody else? Okay, one more. 9 makes it. Okay, everybody's made it. Now then, we can move to the turn 5, the English turn. What are we going to do? Okay, I think we only have to take out 7 units, so we can do that. I want to get as many guys into play as possible. That guy's going to stand there. Everybody's pretty much put this guy in place. That's pretty much all I can do. 1, 2. I'll move this guy down. Maybe he can kind of help out a little bit. 1, 2, 1. Oh. This guy needs to move somewhere. He'll move up here. Okay, so that's movement. Now we can go through and fire. I think these two are going to fight together. So I'm going to pool. Let's see. That's 3-to-1. And we'll try over here. We can fight. We'll fire with this guy. And so he gets a 3-to-1 odds with an 8. 3-to-1 with an 8 is going to be a morale check, but it's also a +1, so it's a 9. So 3-to-1 with a 9, a morale check, and needs a 7 or better. Does not make it, so routed. Okay, this guy will go. And again, we've got 1.5. 10, nothing. Okay. This guy will go. He's going against the regicide guys. 9 to 6, 1.5. With a 9, nothing. Okay. 2 to 1 odds here. With a 7. 2 to 1 with a 7. Plus 1 is an 8, so we can make a morale check. They make their morale check. And that's it for the archery phase. Now we can go ahead and try to, we need to pull 6 units down. So 9 to 3, 3 to 1 odds with a 6. 3 to 1 with a 6. So there's 1. We'll put that guy up here. And like I said, we need to destroy 35 French units. We got 5 more to go. 9 and we'll go 9 to 3. 3 to 1 odds here. They get a 9 at 3 to 1, so that's a morale check. And a 6 is not enough, so this guy is routed and goes back 1, 2. Okay, and then these two are going to fight. 9 and 6 is 15 to 4. 3 to 1 odds there with a 7. Morale check, and they need a 7, but don't make it, so they are routed. Those two have moved. These two have moved. Okay. These guys get a +1, so 6 to 4, 1.5, or -1 in this game, is an 8. That's a morale check, okay? A 7, so they make it. Okay, then this guy here goes with an 8 to 3, 2 to 1 odds. -1 is a 4, 2 to 1 with a 4. That's enough to send this guy up here. Let's put him up. Okay, 5 more needed. Okay, we've got this guy here. Now he's got a 9 to 3, 3 to 1, and he gets a -1. So 10, 9, 3 to 1 with a 9. It's a morale check. Oh, I forgot the clapbacks. Okay. 3 to 1 with a 9. So 7. He did 7 or better. He gets his 7, so now he can clap back with a 4. 6 to 5. 1 to 1 with a 4 is a morale check. It's a 5. Nothing. Okay, he makes it. Okay. Who else needed 1? I think this guy here needs to be able to go back. Let me get this guy moved. Right here, this 8 to 4, 2 to 1 odds. 9, 2 to 1 with a 9. That's a nothing. Okay. Okay, then we've got a 6 to 3, 2 to 1 here, -1, 12, 11. Okay, that's not going to be effective. And then a 6 to 4, 1.5s, and an 8 at 1.5. Nothing. Okay. Okay, this guy's got a 6 to 3. 2 to 1 odds here, but he gets a -1 because Henry's there. 2 to 1, 4. 2 to 1, 4. Okay, that eliminates this guy. Oh, this is going to be close. Okay, that guy attacked there. This guy gets to attack here, and we've got 2 units here. So 8 and 9 is 17 to 4. 4 to 1 odds. And we roll a 6 at 4 to 1, so that destroys this guy. Can they do it this turn? I've got 2 more. 2 more to win. 9 to 4, 2 to 1 odds. 2 to 1 with a 5. Okay, there. This guy's gone. Come on, get up there. We need 1 more. Okay, this guy 9 to 4, 2 to 1 odds with a 9, and he gets a -1, so it's an 8. 2 to 1 with an 8. It's a morale check, so it needs a 7 or better. Does not get it, so routed. Oops. Instead of delete, hit routed. 2. Okay. We're down here. 9-4, 2-to-1 odds with an 8. It's a morale check. 6 or better. 5 misses it. Okay. Here we go. 9, and this is a 2 now because they're at half strength. So 4-to-1 odds. This may be it. 5. That is it. Yeah. Okay. So the French are routed from the field. Barely. Okay. Well, I guess they did pretty well. Again, this game can go either way. It can get lucky. I think it does add a little bit of element of tactics to it. But now if you play the game straight up as rules as written without the optional rules, basically the English move backwards and keep firing. And you can move till you get to the last row here. At that point, you'll have thinned out the French quite a bit and then just attack, and you'll eliminate the French from the board. In fact, you can play it to about 8 turns and eliminate every French unit doing that. But this at least gives the French a little better chance. Probably should have, if I was the French player, probably should have mobilized these units to the north a little better. I think that's north. And get them towards the center. I think they would have done better. You can see the center kind of fell apart here. And these guys never really entered the fray too much. So that's it. Anyway, this is Battle of Agincourt. It's not to be confused with SPI's Agincourt, which is a little bit different game. It's a little more complex than this one. But anyway, that's what I've got for the week. If you can think of any games you'd like to see me do, let me know, and I'll try to put them on my agenda here, as long as it's not like a really hard one. Probably be a while before I get to like Case Blue or one of those big ASL or any of those really big games. I think those probably are not quite what I'm into doing right now. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching or listening or whatever you're doing, and hopefully you're playing along. Let me know what you're playing. Keep in touch, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.